Hi, this is a continuation of my 30-minute infomercial, and it's in 4 parts, I believe, entitled "The Sheriff of Wall Street Carries a Law Book Instead of a Gun." I'm now in the part of destruction of the middle class. The middle class in America is being systematically destroyed by looting, by taking your money, assets, and opportunity and giving them to the protected interests to make them richer and richer while you are getting poorer and poorer. Here is where the middle class is finding itself after this systematic, intentional looting with the help of your elected leaders. 1. Loss of millions of jobs caused by mergers, acquisitions, outsourcing, NAFTA, and outright sale of jobs, and deliberate failure by federal and state government to create jobs for the 98% of the persons in need. 2. Loss of homes to foreclosures and short sales through federal and state failure to stop banks and investment bankers from offering illegal gambling products and securities based on home mortgages, failing to adopt strict foreclosure laws in more than half of the states to prevent the banks from enforcing the usurious interest permitted to be charged on home mortgages and credit cards under federal law. 3. Payment of 30% or higher usurious interest to banks and credit card companies. 4. Paying and borrowing substantially more than the higher education is worth because of the education monopoly, which can be eliminated in your community by my tuition-free equivalency college for residents only. 5. Higher costs for the things you are required to buy, such as food, gas, medical services, tuition, bank, and credit card loans, among other things, with protected interests allowed to charge you usurious or monopolistic rates. 6. Student loans as a form of slavery for the benefit of banks. 7. Excessive taxes, fines, penalties, and forfeitures to fund our welfare program for the rich. 8. Substantial decline in the value of your savings, caused by non-enforcement of our laws protecting your property rights. 9. Victimized by Wall Street and investment bankers, also caused by non-enforcement of our laws. 10. Watching protected groups prosper in bad times. Your elected officials continue to give away your money even in bad times. 11. No longer prospering during, quote, good times, unquote. When good times return, you'll notice that the middle class is not prospering. That's right now, today. When the stock market goes up, it means that more middle-class Americans are losing their jobs, which creates savings for the publicly owned companies, and their stock goes up. When times are bad for public companies and the stock market goes down, the public companies stop hiring. You can't win either way when you're the middle class. 12. Federal government failure to have an economic index that reflects systematic destruction of the middle class, and failure to publish accurate unemployment statistics to cover up the looting and let voters believe without justification that relief is coming soon. 13. Re-election of the same group of elected officials, the owners and controllers of the wealth in the United States and world, make contributions to your elected officials at the federal level to make sure they win. It doesn't matter whether they are Democrats or Republicans. We cannot rely on federal elections to make any changes. We need the new Sheriff of Wall Street, what I'm running for as New York State Attorney General, to make the needed changes through law enforcement and use of internet to make meaningful information available to create and maintain a sustainable economy. 14. Election promises never fulfilled. You'll notice that no person elected to federal office is able to keep any of his or her promises. This is the main difference between my candidacy to be elected as the New York State Attorney General. I will have the power to do so and will do what I am promising. 15. Loss of your rights and personal freedoms. This country has a greater concentration of wealth than ever before, with fewer and fewer persons in control of the nation's wealth, political institutions, and major media. The two political parties divide up the election results, and it doesn't matter to the nation's media who wins, as long as it is the Republicans or Democrats. The legislators who can be counted on to increase the concentration of our economy even more and finish off the process of eliminating the middle class. 16. Ballot access restrictions, making it virtually impossible for third-party candidates to win any important elections unless the candidate finds a way, as I'm trying to do, to get my message to voters in the short length of time between now and the November 2nd elections. 17. In summary, lack of law enforcement is what is destroying the middle class. Any meaningful enforcement of law by reason of the federal government's failure to enforce must come from the next sheriff of Wall Street, and I hope that it's me. Many of these losses you have suffered involve corresponding transfers to protected interests. They can be offset by the nation's new sheriff of Wall Street through enforcement of federal and state law, if the new sheriff is me and not the candidate of the Republican or Democratic Party, who are currently elected county prosecutors who have done nothing with their office to further the interests of the middle class. They are part of the party machine and apparatus which we need to overcome in this next election. Here is why the office of the New York State Attorney General is the most powerful elected office in the United States, the only elected office in the United States that can cure the problems created by the bought-off U.S. Congress and administration. 1. The New York State Attorney General is elected by voters and cannot be fired. 2. He, and when I use he, I'm referring to me, does not need any other person to render a legal opinion to him before any action can take place. 3. The Attorney General needs no new statutes. He has more than enough statutes to enforce both federal and state, and needs no New York State Senate or Assembly approval either. 4. The Attorney General raises billions of dollars, that's with a B, each year by suing wrongdoers, and doesn't need to depend on the Senate and Assembly for meeting expenses or expanding his activities. What has happened is that we have not had enough enforcement. We've had a showing that the New York Attorney General has that power, but we need to use that power appropriately in order to change what's happening in this country. 5. The New York State Attorney General does not need the approval of the governor. The New York State Attorney General has the discretionary power of a prosecutor and doesn't need anyone's approval. 6. The New York State Attorney General is the acknowledged leader of the 50 state attorneys general and can use other state attorneys general as a force multiplier to expand the work of the New York State Attorney General into all other 49 states. 7. The New York State Attorney General is the most powerful of all state attorneys general, if he or she chooses to use that power, because of the location of the financial world in New York, and because of the federal failure to enforce laws governing Wall Street. 8. The New York State Attorney General needs no approval from anyone, and has what I estimate to be 50% of the entire political power in New York State. All the other elected officials share the other 50% and get bogged down in negotiating corrupt allocations and votes with other elected officials. 9. Federal agencies are not enforcing federal laws and are allowing our big economy to grow with resulting destruction of the middle class. Now you understand what I mean when I say that the New York State Attorney General is the most powerful elected office in the United States. The Obama administration and U.S. Congress cannot cure the nation's economic problem. They only make the problem worse with an ever-increasing concentration of our big economy resulting from anything they do. The New York State Attorney General is the only elected official who can do something about this problem, which is destroying the middle class and our political freedoms at the same time. Regardless of where you live in the United States, this is the one time that you have to do something about this problem before it is too late for anyone to act. Accept your responsibility to prevent America from destroying itself.